Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are brought. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, and I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning. We have a lot to cover. Got some crazy New York updates. We also have a few things from throughout the week that I think are worth mentioning, some new information. And in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to talk with our good friends from the Steuben Senior Services Fund. They've got their Bubblies and Brunch event coming up a little bit later on in the summer. We'll get all that information for you during the interview, but we may just happen to have a ticket giveaway like we did last year. You'll have to stay tuned to find out. Okay, breaking news from overnight. 4 Israeli Defense Force soldiers were killed overnight during fighting in southern Lebanon in what appears to have been a Hezbollah drone strike targeting a tank. The IDF identified one of the slain men as Lieutenant Colonel Dor Gadala Ben Shimon, 32, commander of the 52nd, the Breachers Battalion, and the 401st Iron Tracks Brigade. The names of 3 other soldiers killed in the attacks have not yet been cleared for publication. Their families have been notified. According to initial reports, the soldiers were killed when an explosive drone struck the battalion commander's tank. The incident marked a significant escalation along the northern border and underscored continuing tensions despite the ceasefire arrangements between Israel and Lebanon. The attack was one of the most serious Hezbollah violations of the ceasefire in recent months, according to military sources. Israeli officials said the drone strike on the battalion commander's tank left the IDF with no choice but to respond forcefully against Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon. Following the attack, the IDF launched extensive strikes across southern Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah positions and infrastructure. The incident also appears to have been will have broader diplomatic repercussions, according to the New York Post, because Iran canceled a planned delegation trip to Switzerland for talks related to the recently signed MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. The cancellation came after the White House announced that J.D. Vance had postponed his own trip to Switzerland, where technical talks on implementing the agreement had been expected to begin. So J.D. Vance, overnight, announced that he will not head to Switzerland for the first round of the planned technical nuclear talks with Iran. It was already in flux, the vice president admitted, as his team worked to iron out the logistics and figure out whether or not the Iranians would participate. The technical negotiations were outlined in a memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran that was finalized this week. Quote, as the vice president said at his press conference, the plans for the upcoming technical talks have not been finalized, and the U.S. delegation has been prepared to depart at the first available opportunity. The logistics of these negotiations have never been simple or predictable. As of now, the vice president is not departing tonight. This, of course, coming in late last night. We look forward to beginning technical talks as soon as possible. Now, Vance issued a harsh warning. We're not going to, I know we spent quite a bit of yesterday's program when we weren't talking with Joe Semplinsky. We were talking about Iran. We're not going to spend too much this morning, but there's a couple kind of late night, a little bit of yesterday evening updates. J.D. Vance ripped Israeli officials who have criticized President Trump over the Memorandum of Understanding. He told reporters at the White House briefing room that Israeli cabinet members had in some cases very personally attacked the President of the United States. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time, and he happens to be the head of the state of the world's superpower. Over the last 3 months, 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected your homeland have been built by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. The problem for Israel is not Donald J. Trump, and anybody in Israel who thinks their biggest problem is the President of the United States needs to wake up and smell the reality of the situation that country is in. Now, this is going to be interesting because especially with Hezbollah attacking Israel, what this all means. We'll be keeping an eye on it this morning. But Trump claimed yesterday that the controversial, that's how the media is reporting it, Memorandum of Understanding with Iran probably amounts to an unconditional surrender from Iran. He's dealing with, they call it GOP revolt. The media loves to use the term GOP revolt or civil war. Well, but really it probably is unconditional surrender, Trump told Axios. Now, typically unconditional surrender has meant that the losing side agrees to all demands. We know that's not the case in the Memorandum of Understanding. So there are some questions there. They pressed Trump, Axios, about whether the war in Iran was a humbling experience. He said there are no limits, meaning to his power. I haven't learned that lesson yet. I know there are, but there are no limits. We defeated them totally militarily. J.D. Vance, switching back and forth between the two, Trump and J.D. Vance, he said that the Trump-Iran deal fundamentally is different from the Obama-Iran deal. He said you have to remember, in 2015, Iran had built a sophisticated nuclear weapons program with a nuclear weapons stockpile. So the perspective that we came in as the United States was you already have a really nice nuclear program. We're going to bribe you with American money in order to stop it. Our perspective and where we're coming in at is if we already destroyed your nuclear program, and so if you promise and show verifiable pathways to not rebuild it, then we are willing to give you some sanction relief and things like that. He noted that it is fundamentally a different perspective while highlighting that the difference do not end there. For instance, Obama's deal allowed nuclear enrichment and Trump's does not. Now there are all these substantive differences as well. Quote, the Obama nuclear deal allowed enrichment, ours will not. The Obama deal allowed the accumulation of stockpiled weapons-grade material. Ours is actually leading to the destruction of the stockpile of enriched material. The Islamic, well, and we know all about the deal. I don't have to read the deal for you. Josh Hawley, Senator Josh Hawley, and we're moving kind of quick, I know, this morning, on the Ingram angle yesterday, was asked by Brian Kilmeade, guest host, Senator, the war started a few months ago because Iran could not be trusted. They're on a path to a nuclear weapon. They weren't going to be stopped. The funding of the proxies was continuing. Israel is constantly under attack. Anything in this MOU makes you feel as though any of this behavior has changed? Josh Hawley replied, well, Brian, I've seen the final text. I haven't seen the final text yet, but I'll tell you what I like for sure, what I've heard reported. Number one, that the strait is going to be reopened. That's going to be great for the American economy. It's going to be great for oil prices, gas prices, fertilizer prices in my state of Missouri. I like the fact that the president has gotten a ceasefire here that will now extend. I like the fact that their nuclear program, Iran's, is buried under 1,000 feet of rubble. It's not going anywhere. I mean, the president made sure that it is buried. I believe it is buried for good. Those are all good things. Just to show you a little bit, and we have a lot of updates. That was just kind of from overnight, but just to show you what we're dealing with when we talk about Iran. And this is, we've seen them brutalize their people, the regime. We've seen them murder their people. Listen to this. An Iranian music sensation and an 8-person production team were reportedly sentenced to 74 brutal lashings because the singer's viral, keep in mind, patriotic tune that she sang went viral, but she performed it without a hijab. Parastu Ahmadi, who's 29, and other artists were slapped with the savage flogging by the criminal court of Qom province over a live stream performance from December of 2024. Ahmadi sang a patriotic song, which translates to, quote, from the blood of the youth of the homeland, but she was not donning a hijab, considered a Muslim symbol of religious devotion. The video prompted authorities to file a formal case, though some human rights advocates said the barbaric sentence has no legal grounding. The folk artists and other musicians were reportedly briefly detained for the live stream, which racked up millions of views on YouTube, but were eventually released. In addition to the gruesome lashes, Iranian authorities sentenced Ahmadi and the crew to a 2-year ban on leaving the country and a 2-year ban on engaging in artistic activities. A human rights lawyer, Moeen Khazali, said singing, performing music, and producing or disseminating musical work by women are not criminalized under Iranian criminal law. Consequently, such activities cannot reasonably be construed as the distribution or publication of obscene content. Now, though Iran's official judiciary news agency has not published the ruling, rights groups and lawyers who reviewed the filings argued a surge in cases against artists shows the theocratic regime's intent to viciously crack down on cultural dissent. The director of advocacy at the U.S.-based Center for Human Rights in Iran said Ahmad's punishment of 74 lashes for merely singing and appearing without a hijab is yet another reminder that human rights conditions in Iran have not changed. despite the Iranian authorities' wartime propaganda campaign aimed at improving their image. Other singers and women's rights activists have been subject to similar punishments by the Islamic Republic. We don't need to go through that history. Just a quick overview of what we are dealing with there, not lessening, not easing up with this new regime. Okay, well, new leadership, I should say. We have so many things to get to. I'm not going to talk a lot about this morning, but I am going to be curious about your thoughts about Obama's library. The opening yesterday, I saw people online saying that, Trump's going to be so upset with all the big name artists that are performing there. Like the president of the United States cares. But okay. But I've got to say, put politics aside. I don't care if you love Obama, you didn't like Obama. I don't care. That's a really weird looking building, isn't it? Now, I know I think I heard on the news last night that tickets are sold out to view the museum all the way through November or something. Fine, I'm sure it's doing fine. But I have a piece that I'm going to get to later on that shows the hypocrisy of the coverage of Obama and what I think would be called a pretty hideous sight in the Chicago skyline. That compared to Trump and the coverage that President Trump receives. Also, we've got, like I said, quite a few things here about New York. We're already up to 9 waves. Keep them coming in. Keep the comments coming in. We'll be right back. We're just getting warmed up on this Friday edition of Frankly Speaking.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Looking for a meaningful day trip close to home? Visit the historic Elmira Prison Camp, one of the most significant Civil War sites in the North. Walk the grounds, stand where history happened, discover powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and survival that shaped our nation. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a family looking to learn together, or simply exploring the Finger Lakes region, we offer an experience you won't forget. Plan your visit today at elmiracivilwar.org. Preserve, discover, remember.
Let me ask you, does it matter if the law firm you hire focuses on motor vehicle accidents? Has the experience to take on big insurance? Will go to court to win? Has won over $1 billion for their clients? If that matters to you, come to William Mattar. We are the largest motor vehicle accident firm in the state. Call William Mattar for the recovery you deserve. Hurt in a car, it matters who you hire.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Okay, sorry about that last little hitch there, a little dark screen for a second. We'll fix that in the next break. Okay, comment from a viewer. Were tax dollars used to build Obama's building, the Obama Library? Well, it's paid for by private donations, but this is where it gets tricky. Illinois tax dollars, the state of Illinois, $120 million for local infrastructure and road improvements surrounding the facility. And the Obama Foundation secured a 99-year lease for the parkland for only $10. But so you're looking at about 120, this coming from Fox News, about $120 million of Illinois taxpayer money for the infrastructure and road improvements. But as a rule, the libraries are privately funded. But ironically, in the instance of President Trump, it's going to be the media that hates him is going to be a major donor in his library, because if you've been paying attention, I know you have, he had those lawsuits like against George Stephanopoulos and others, and that money that he won going to his presidential library. So as I've said in the past, half jokingly, half serious, if you donate often at like a library, they'll put a brick down somewhere. Your name will be on some plaque. I think George Stephanopoulos and the, quote, fake news should definitely have a prominent thank you section of his library. Okay. Let's get right back to it. Oh, an update. The alleged ringleader of the explosive drone attack plot at the UFC fights, we brought this to you earlier in the week. They're piecing together who was involved, what the idea was in their attack. They hated capitalism, and they hated billionaires, and they hated Trump. I think there was some anti-Semitism in there as well. They were going to attack the UFC fights at the White House with drones. And as people were fleeing for their safety, they were going to set up snipers at a certain area, and they were hoping to shoot prominent leaders, prominent people amongst Trump's cabinet. Well, the ringleader of that group is an illegal immigrant from Mexico who was granted dreamer status by the Obama administration and allowed to stay in the country, according to Homeland Security. Abraham Alvarez, 31 years old, came to the U.S. as a child and failed to leave the country when his B-2 visa expired all the way back in 2001, but was granted deportation relief under the Obama administration through the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program. He was arrested in an old church in the small town of western Nebraska on June 14th, which he intended to use as a safe zone for himself and his alleged co-conspirators. According to Special Agent in Charge Eugene Cowell of the FBI Omaha Field Office, quote, from his home here in Nebraska, Alvarez allegedly directed and recruited others across the country to conduct a horrific attack against government officials and a mass casualty event. This is another concern. Now, this was at the White House, so it's a little different, but you look at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It is scary to think about all of these leaders, all these members of Trump cabinet all in one place, right? It's something that I hope that they keep in mind, because so far this didn't get as far, obviously, as the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter did, but definitely raises major concerns. Now, again, that special agent in charge saying our team worked around the clock to locate and apprehend Alvarez, take him into custody, and collect crucial evidence. All right, that's an update. Also, an update, one we haven't had in a while. The U.S. military carried out a lethal strike yesterday on a vessel it said was involved in drug trafficking in the Eastern Pacific, killing 3 men the command described as narco-terrorists. On June 18th, at the direction of Southcom Commander General Francis Donovan, Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel operated by designated terrorist organizations. Intelligence confirmed the vessel was transiting along known narco-trafficking routes in the Eastern Pacific and was engaged in narco-trafficking operations. The military said 3 men, it described as narco-terrorists, were killed in the strike. Southcom did not say whether anyone survived. No U.S. military personnel were harmed, the command said, and there is footage if you are interested. All right, let's see. Mark writes in this morning and says, good morning. Well, good morning, Mark. I see J.D. Vance has uncovered a little fraud in blue states, and he says there was bidding on fraud, and New York is one of them. Fraud in New York is one of them. He said the money will be paid back. Yeah, there's going to be, I think that, personally, my thought is there is going to be quite a lot of evidence of fraud here in New York State. There are certain instances, I think it was Medicaid, that they don't even audit. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. Right now, J.D. Vance is very busy. The media is reporting it because the media loves to drive this wedge between him and Rubio. They're saying that Rubio is letting Vance have the spotlight because Rubio doesn't believe the Iran deal is a good deal. Trying to let him take the fall. That's been a major theme in the media. Oh, also, how do I want to go through this? There's a couple things that we can't segue, and it's Friday, so we'll have a little fun with it. In the next segment, We'll go through 3 or 4 different things that just get your opinion on. That's the important thing. Get your opinion on. We're also going to talk about some patriotic issues as we get ready to celebrate, not issues, patriotic stories as we get ready to celebrate America 250. We have a couple things here about the Democrats and what they're looking at as we enter or get close to the midterms. As a reminder, and you're going to hear this a lot from me the next few days, Tuesday is primary day. For those of you in Chemung County, you have the decision of your Chemung County executive. Because remember, this is a Republican ticket. Mark Marginson did not secure the conservative line, so he's a Republican. Chris Moss is Republican and conservative. So the winner, most likely, because there is not a Democrat challenger, will most likely after Tuesday be the Chemung County executive. Now, technically, Moss could run on the conservative line, but that's obviously an uphill battle. But that depends, too, on the low turnout. And I hate to say this. I hate to beat a dead horse here. But turnout is so historically low in primaries, and yet it's such an important decision. Whether it's Chemung, like we were just mentioning, whether you want Executive Moss, the incumbent, or whether you want Mark Margison, or if you have the local races, like we've talked about here in Steuben, where you have 2 people running to be on your town council or your town supervisor. We actually have a story here that I think later on that we maybe will be able to get to that just shows you another example of why it's so important to know who you vote for and who you're voting for. Well, in these instances, whether it's Campbell, Corning, the town of Corning, Irwin, Lindley, or Rathbone, you will most likely, that'll be the only time you have to vote for them, because in the general, there are, as of now, some of this changes because Democrats can caucus instead of getting signatures. There are no Democrats running, as far as I'm aware. So this is the deciding factor for these people. So if you like one of these candidates, whether they're running for Campbell Town Supervisor, Town of Corning Town Justice, Irwin Council Member, Lindley Town Supervisor, Highway Superintendent, or Rathbone Council Member, if you like these people, you've got to show your support on Tuesday, because after that, it's all over. It's all over for them if they lose, or they are victorious in November, essentially, if they win. I hope I didn't make that more complicated than it needed to be. All right, we got to take a break. A couple updates when we return. A lot to talk about. Keep those waves, keep those messages coming in. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
The only thing more American than apple pie and 4th of July is baseball. This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Just turn on WJKP 48.2 and grab a comfortable seat right at home to watch baseball history unfold. Make sure you don't miss a home run. And tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
Making pre-arrangements is one of the best gifts that you can give to your family. When you pre-arrange your funeral, you have taken away all questions and all doubts what your final wishes are. In a cost-free, no-obligation appointment, we can sit down with you and answer any questions that you have. And we will meet you at your home or at the funeral home. Your family doesn't have to tell your story. You can tell your story for yourself.
Visit Carpenter.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Okay, by the way, New Jersey Representative Tom Keene Jr., who has kind of mysteriously been missing. He won his primary race, or he won essentially his race, if I'm not mistaken. Recently, he had no opponent, so I don't know how that's primary. But it must have been, maybe there was an opponent. I don't know. But missing New Jersey Representative Thomas Keene Jr. has set a June 30th date to return to Congress after having been absent from Capitol Hill since early March. His political advisor, Harrison Neely, said Congressman Keene is eager to return to in-person work on June 30th and resume a full schedule. I like the way that you word that. Because why he puts in-person work, it's suggesting that he's been working from home. And he may have been, right? But there's clearly some health issue that has caused him to stay home as compared to go to Washington. So I like it's kind of a little political nuance there, in-person work. The House is currently slated to break for Independence Day recess on July 2nd, just days after his planned return. So just taking it easy at first. He has missed over 100, he's a Republican, mind you. He has missed over 135 roll call votes since March 5th when he last cast one. The Garden State Republicans team told reporters that he was dealing with a personal health matter and focused on his recovery during his time away from the House. Today, it's still not exactly clear what health situation kept him away from Congress for just under 4 months. Keene represents one of the most competitive districts in the country and did not make an appearance when he won the Republican nomination. Okay, that's what it was. Won the nomination. I apologize. I got confused there. For his uncontested re-election. The congressman is facing a bruising battle against Democrat Rebecca Bennett in New Jersey's 7th district this cycle. That could signal trouble if he's having difficulties going into work. Obviously, his opponent will make hay with that unless it is, and it sounds as if it is a personal health issue. That's a little bit difficult to attack someone on. At times, some of Keene's colleagues didn't know what was going on with him. However, he has since had calls with key Republicans and did a brief interview with the New Jersey Globe where he claimed that a health situation wasn't impacting his cognitive skills and isn't chronic. He said, "My doctor was confident that I'm on the road to a full recovery. I understand the need for public transparency, and I appreciate the support of my constituents. I anticipate in the next couple of weeks I will return to voting and to the campaign trail." Well, he'll have to. Well, even Speaker Johnson, defending Keene, but contended that he's going to have to explain to the public what happened to him. "He's in good spirits," said the Speaker. "It's not a scandalous thing at all. People deal with health issues. Maybe that's a news flash for you. But even members of Congress get sick as well." So we'll be keeping an eye on that. All right, a couple questions for you. Your thoughts on this. Jay Leno, you remember the former late night host, Jay Leno. He gave an interview to Deadline where he made the suggestion that Joe Rogan is the new, I don't even like saying this, is the new Johnny Carson. Okay. Your thoughts on that? I mean, podcasts really are the new talk shows. Joe Rogan is the new Johnny Carson. Joe talks to everybody about everything. There's no FCC to step in and say what you say and can't say. So you really do get an unfiltered idea of what everybody thinks. So yeah, I mean, to me, that's what's also changed late night. He goes on to criticize some of the hosts and things. But your thoughts on that? As someone who, I've watched numerous interviews just because of the topic at hand, but not, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Joe Rogan, but I don't hate him. Just not something I follow that often. So your thoughts? Jay Leno suggesting Joe Rogan is the new Johnny Carson. I think that is a salacious headline. I do believe the way that it reads, you would think that he's comparing them humor-wise or something like that, but really he's just talking numbers-wise, or the fact that he's talking to all sides like Johnny Carson did. Okay, for those of you, and we try to keep you healthy out there. We talked about the president's physical fitness test. Well, here's a new one, and it's from the Wall Street Journal. Take it with a grain of salt. But apparently a new diet is sweeping through President Trump's cabinet. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, and Vice President J.D. Vance have all embraced the diet, which is drawn by the promise of slimmer waistlines and glowing skin. They all apparently have determined the health benefits outweigh the slightly sulfurous odors that have been the cause of some domestic friction. Kennedy said last week, within 30 days, I lost 20 pounds. J.D. Vance is also on the diet, and you see how different he looks. Now, this is what the diet involves. And it's a brainchild of Dr. Sean O'Mara. It advises high-profile patients to eat, well, not these high-profile, but anybody can do it, to eat fermented foods such as sauerkraut and kimchi, alongside grass-fed steak, and to abstain from alcohol and sugary food. The diet leads to a reduction in visceral fat, which wraps around organs, as well as a more robust microbiome, which can help with digestion. Kennedy was the first to convert. Lutnick and Duffy followed suit. Vance committed to the diet for Lent earlier this year and has stuck with it. The doctor said, I tend to like to work with older people because the ROI is so much greater. It's like taking over a sinking ship, a company that is headed to bankruptcy. He declined to discuss his patients, citing privacy concerns, but people familiar with the matter said Kennedy, Lutnick, and Duffy have all seen the doctor. Though, Kennedy said, he's sometimes turned off by the tangy and pungent taste of sauerkraut, he found the diet helped him shed fat and reduced aches and pains. He also credits it with eliminating the atrial fibrillations, sounds the way I imagine it feels, that he had been experiencing. Fibrillations. The Trump administration officials on the diet have been known to trade tips when they are gathered at the White House. Online commentators recently remarked that Vance was looking thin in a photo posted earlier this month. Trump has at times resisted cutting out unhealthy food. We know that. We know President Trump's diet habits. For snacking, if you're still hungry, Dr. O'Mara recommends Old World cheese. That includes blue cheese, gorgonzola, or Parmesan on a wheel, which Lutnick eats plain without a cracker. All right, there you go. Vance has stayed committed to the diet, often eating eggs, sauerkraut, pickles, blackberries, and raspberries for lunch, and beef or lamb with sauerkraut for dinner. On Air Force 2, he snacks on grass-fed beef jerky or eats a hamburger with cheese, no bun, and a side of fermented vegetables. Well, there you go. I guess you got to get a lot of fermented food. All right. There you go. Anyway, I don't know what the full diet is. Big story, though. Big story coming out of Wall Street Journal. All right, let's get to some updates on, well, we're going to talk about Obama's presidential library. It's not going to be a main focus. As I said earlier in the program, we do have a busy 7 o'clock hour because we're going to hear from the Student Senior Services Fund, but also we have some New York State updates that I think you're going to find very interesting. As one last update from a story we brought to you kind of throughout the week was a scenario with Major League Baseball. I guess longtime San Francisco Giants broadcaster Mike Krukow, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, is throwing a fit because a group of MLB players included Bible verses on their hats during Pride Night. He said, I think when you're a player and you come into this environment, it's your responsibility to know just how sensitive this city is in regards to that cultural freedom and religious freedom and just the way that you live your life. So there's religious freedom that is, unless you're a certain religion. Is that what we're to believe? Quote, and I think we're in for a rude awakening with the response. And it wasn't just from the gay community. It was from the Northern California community that supports the gay community. The broadcaster then defended the Giants organization, citing the franchise's long history of support for the LGBTQ community. Quote, there's an irony, too, because the Giants organization is getting dumped on as well, and that hurt me. Anyway, we know that these, for the record, according to Fox News, Krukow had no such issue when Colin Kaepernick disrespected the military community by kneeling during the national anthem in the city of San Francisco, it should be noted. Elsewhere, MLB threatened to discipline San Francisco Giants players for inscribing Bible verses on their pride hats. The league says the players' actions violated its uniform policy, which prohibits writing of any kind on uniforms. Of course, that is not exactly true. As Outkick reported earlier this week, MLB previously allowed political messages in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Of course, that is, put simply, as much as people like Michael Krukow, might enjoy it. There is no reason for MLB to hold Pride Night in 2026, and no player should have to participate in them. The league is grandstanding. I would argue virtue signaling. As Vice President J.D. Vance joked this week, saying, Trump won, we don't have to do this anymore. There is a really, we won't have time to get to all of it, but it ties in with the New York Post, Jack Hibbs. And he writes, baseball players embrace a true meaning of God's rainbow. And I didn't know what Bible verse they had put on the hat. It was Genesis 9:12 through 16, which is, and God said, this is the sign of the covenant, which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. It shall be when I bring a cloud over the earth that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. The waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. Now, what this piece boils down to is it's a sad day, writes Pastor Jack Hibbs from the Real Life Network, in America when we have lost the ability to tolerate someone else's view. And it's becoming clear that the LGBTQ agenda cannot tolerate the Judeo-Christian worldview of God's permanent design. There's actually a pro baseball team that forfeited over their Pride Night in Pennsylvania. The York Revolution of the Atlantic League, the same league in which Trevor Bauer plays, said the decision was not reached lightly in announcing the forfeit against the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs on Wednesday. The team was not afraid to throw its players under the bus in a rather scathing statement, saying it was deeply troubled and profoundly disappointed by a decision of these few players. To be clear, the action by the player is completely inconsistent with our vision as the most welcoming place in York. So what happened is these professional baseball players did not want to participate in the scheduled Pride Night because they did not want to wear the LGBTQ-themed jerseys. So what we see here is, of course, the team throwing their players under the bus. The jersey, which had been worn on the team's 11th annual Pride Night, had rainbow sleeves. The team announced it would be making a $10,000 donation to the Rainbow Rose Center as a small token of our regret for the last-minute change of plans and support for our LGBTQIA+ representing partners to support and further their work in making sure the York community is as inclusive as we strive to make Wellspan Park in York, Pennsylvania. Now, despite no game being played, the Revolution will still host a free and fun celebration of recognition and inclusion on Thursday and offer exchanges for any remaining 2026 regular season home games, subject to availability. So a lot of virtue signaling there on behalf of the park. Anyway, you get the idea. So there's your updates. We got to take a short break. When we return, some America 250 updates. We're almost getting ready to wrap up hour number one. My goodness. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Where are you? There.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
I just love coming in after they've been here and seeing everything clean and tidy. It's such a good way to start the week.
Sometimes I wonder if they are magic.
I feel like it's the details that is everything. The being able to pick up on things that most people don't see or don't even think about.
House, business, or anything else, go with Magic Rags. The Enchanted Crew has you covered from ceiling to floor.
Every job demands control, no matter how rough the terrain. That's why Ferris features patented front and rear suspension, turning rough terrain into smooth motion. Less stress on your crew, less stress on your equipment, more lawns mowed. Feels like more money in your pocket. Feels like a Ferris.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
They're quiet and
comfortable out there. A high of 77 with some sunshine. The average high of 80. We won't be far from it, but you'll notice when we get to the extended forecast that we will have a hard time warming that much consistently in the days ahead. Tonight, mid-50s with some clear skies, then back to around 75 with some sun for Saturday. As mentioned, not much for 80-degree heat on the horizon. Shower and thunderstorm potential Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. President Trump yesterday awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor to 3 war heroes who fought in Vietnam and the war on terrorism, at one point helping 88-year-old Major James Capers, Jr., a Marine veteran, walk up on stage to receive the highest military decoration. Capers led his 9-man team on a 4-day reconnaissance patrol of the North Vietnamese, where they were brutally ambushed. The Marine veteran suffered 17 shrapnel wounds and was shot twice, but led every member of his team out alive. When a helicopter struggled to take off because the load was too much, he attempted to get off to ensure his team would survive. They pulled him back in. Trump said of Capers' heroism, "I hope this isn't giving you some bad memories, Jim, but I'll tell you, everybody admires what you went through. Believe me." Trump recounted how Capers had been recommended for the Medal of Honor in 1967, but his commanding officer was, quote, tragically killed before the paperwork was signed. "That's a bad break, but now you're doing it. The nation kept you waiting far too long. So I say to you, congratulations." Next, the president posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor to late Colonel John Ripley, who also served in the Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. Ripley single-handedly pushed 500 pounds of explosives beneath a bridge during an intense 3-hour scramble in which he faced enemy fire. Ultimately, he blew up the bridge, which halted the North Vietnamese advancement. Trump said dangling beneath the bridge and over the rushing water, with a lot of very angry people watching him, completely exposed to withering enemy gunfire, John completed not 1, but 2, but 5 such trips. He died in 2008 of unknown causes, weeks before a ceremony had been planned in his honor. Back in March, Congress passed legislation authorizing Trump to award the Medal of Honor to him. Ripley's family, of course, received the high distinction on his behalf. Lastly, the president awarded retired Army Major Nicholas Dockery the Medal of Honor for acts of gallantry during the fight in Afghanistan in 2012. A Taliban force had ambushed Dockery's platoon. Boy, it's Friday. You could tell I'm ready for the weekend. Platoon, which he fought off to evacuate 3 wounded soldiers. Quote, Trump said, "They were ambushed by 150 Taliban fighters swarming in from multiple directions. They came from all over the place. The enemy unleashed overwhelming torrents of fire from machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. Without concern for his own life at all, Nick raced across the open ground to rally his scattered team. Major Dockery, you were the last man to depart the battlefield that day, and you left it a legend and a hero. We proudly award you the Congressional Medal of Honor." Now, I mentioned that because of these recent polls that we've had for you, and unfortunately we have more this morning. We hear something like that, it brings goosebumps, it brings chills to you. When you hear those stories, it brings pride in our military and our veterans. But I've got 2 polls for you that I think are jarring. From The Economist YouGov, they found just weeks before America's 250th anniversary celebration that 26% of Democrats, 4 in 10 Democrats, say they are somewhat ashamed of being American. And 12% say they are very ashamed to be president. 26% of Democrats, and this goes back to what we talked about yesterday, the education system and this indoctrination, that we're a bad country, that this is the worst time ever, the president's the worst. Democrats, 26% of Democrats say that they are somewhat ashamed, and you add on to that another 12 that say that they are very ashamed to be an American. Now, nearly twice as many Democrats reported being somewhat or very ashamed to be American compared to overall poll respondents. Out of all U.S. adult citizens polled, 12% say that they are somewhat ashamed, and 8% say they are very ashamed. So that's all adults across all the population. 12% say that they are somewhat ashamed. 8% said they are very ashamed. That's just general population. You ask specific Democrats, again, I have to beat home this number. 26% of Democrats said that they are somewhat ashamed, and 12% said they are very ashamed to be American. Now, still some Democrats said they're very proud to be American, 22%. Sadly, that is less than the 26% that found themselves somewhat ashamed. Or somewhat proud, 18%. Approximately 22% of Democrats said that they are neither proud nor ashamed, a sentiment shared by 20% of overall respondents. Americans overall are still proud to be American, with 42% saying they are very proud and 18% saying they are somewhat proud. Oh boy, that's sad. 42%, only 42% of Americans say that they are very proud to be an American. Republicans are the most likely voters to say they're very proud. That should go with no surprise. As 78% and 15% said they are somewhat proud, only 3% of Republicans said that they are ashamed to be an American, including those that are very ashamed, 1%, and somewhat ashamed, 2%. All right. So nearly 4 in 10 Democrats are ashamed to be an American. Well, where do you think, before we go, where do you think New York ranks, according to Wallet Hub, where does New York rank in the most patriotic states in America? I'm going to ask you, and you'll have time during the break to send in your suggestions. 2026 most patriotic states in America. Where does New York rank in that patriotism? Feel free to send in your thoughts. When we return, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Well, you send them in now, and I'll respond when we return. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Lease a brand new 2026 Nissan Murano SL all-wheel drive featuring power moonroof and heated seats for only $479 a month for 24 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Hornell.
Tens of thousands of New Yorkers live in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. Their neighbors, friends, and family members. When they feel their well-being is jeopardized, the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program is there to help. Ombudsmen educate, empower, and advocate for long-term care residents. They investigate complaints, resolve issues, and facilitate improvements. Long-term care residents or their loved ones who have questions or concerns should contact AIM Independent Living Center at 962-8225.
You can bet all the sports, all the players, all the action, all the time. Now you've just got to ask yourself, should I? Take a pause to stay in control and think about how much time you spend betting. A pause can help you if you're watching your wagers more than the game. Pausing can get you back to enjoying time with those around you. Visit oasas.ny.gov and take our survey to see if your wagering is something to worry about. Take a pause and get back in.
The Frankly Speaking roof cam. Look at that beautiful sky. All the birds flying. Beautiful day here on Market Street in Corning, but it always is. Thank you to Boss Security from Horseheads for bringing us that view. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. All right, couple of comments. First off, I asked, where do you think New York is ranked in the most patriotic states in America? This is from Wallet Hub. Now, we had a viewer ask what age group was polled. If the number of those who were ashamed to be American were under age 30, for example, then you can thank the brainwashing woke baloney. So there was it's more based on, where is it here? They evaluated all 50 states using 13 key indicators of patriotism, including metrics ranging from military enlistment and veteran populations to the share of adults who voted in the 2024 presidential election and the number of AmeriCorps volunteers per capita. So there's a whole bunch of different things I didn't print out, and that's a great question. So it's not based on age. It's about various, what's the word I'm looking for? Metrics, various metrics, okay? So let's go through some of your guests. Mark writes in 2 points. We're talking about the sauerkraut diet that's taking the White House by storm. Mark says, as soon as you mention sauerkraut, that diet is not for me. I hate sauerkraut. Yeah, that's a lot of sauerkraut. I don't mind it, and he continues, probably New York State ranks 43. So we have a guess from Mark at 43. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. In our household poll, we found that 100% believe that the Democrats should move to Canada. Thank you. That's a nice new poll. I never thought of doing a poll like that live on the air. Well, we appreciate that. 100% of the house. Impressive. Sergeant Dave writes in and says, good morning. Well, good morning, Sergeant Dave. My take on the MLB. The game starts with the national anthem. Then in the 7th inning, you stretch, take me, and then you sing, take me out to the ball game. And in Philly, they sing High Hopes. Then everyone goes home. End of story. All the other baloney doesn't matter. And then, Sergeant Dave guessed, New York ranks at 48 in patriotism. That's not good, of course. We all know number 1 would be the best. 50 would be the worst. So here we go. Without further ado. Oh, and from our good friends in Canisteo, who also wish us all to have a nice day. They say, if ashamed, go live in another country. That is a fair point. Thank you, Canisteo. Okay, I have you now speaking for all of Canisteo. I appreciate that. All right, according to Wallet Stub, let's just go through the top 10, the most patriotic states. Number 1, Virginia. 2, Montana. 3, Vermont. 4, Colorado. 5, Oregon. 6, North Dakota. 7, Washington. 8, Maryland. 9, Minnesota. And 10, New Hampshire. I'd like to know a little bit about their ranking numbers, like how they got to the metrics. I know we read 4 or 5, but that seems some interesting ones in there. Let's see, who was number, where is it? Is Arkansas? Arkansas, I couldn't find a 50. Wow, Arkansas ranks the least patriotic? Interesting. Who's at lucky number 49? You guys are close. If I would have set the over-under, Mark was at 43. Sergeant Dave at 48. Sergeant Dave, you're so close. New York ranks at 49 in the most patriotic state. So I would say that would really put you at the, obviously, clearly least patriotic states. Second to last. So most patriotic state, Virginia. Oh, there it was the whole time. Arkansas, the least patriotic state. But boy, we're nipping at Arkansas's heels at 49 as we enter into America 250. Let's take a short break. We're going to be talking about the Obama Museum soon. Stay with us. Don't change the channel, please. We'll be right back after this.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Make this summer event. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. Or save $9,000 on a Ram 2500 Tradesman. And this comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save over $7,400 on 3 remaining 25 Jeep Grand Cherokees. And just announced, go topless and save $7,400 on a 26 Jeep Wrangler. As always, get the highest trade-in values. Period. Chilson Wilcox. Selling cars a different way. The right way.
There, quiet and comfortable out there. A high of 77 with some sunshine. The average high of 80. We won't be far from it, but you'll notice when we get to the extended forecast that we will have a hard time warming that much consistently in the days ahead. Tonight, mid-50s with some clear skies, then back to around 75 with some sun for Saturday. As mentioned, not much for 80-degree heat on the horizon. Shower and thunderstorm potential Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We're going to be talking about the Obama Library. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it, some New York State updates. For a moment there, I got kind of excited. I thought maybe Gavin Newsom was watching, Frankly Speaking, because yesterday we had Joe Sempolinski on, and the former Congressman, current Assemblyman, was criticizing the billions and billions of dollars spent on that railroad that still is not operational. That is not what this headline is about, but boy, I was excited. Gavin Newsom's humiliating U-turn. What this was, listen to this. California Democrats have quietly scrapped Governor Gavin Newsom's controversial $20 million plan. What was the $20 million plan? It was to honor the state's living former governors. It's coming directly from the budget. $20 million to honor the state's living former governors. They abandoned the proposal that sparked rare bipartisan backlash and ridicule of the taxpayer-funded vanity project. The so-called Governor's Legacy Fund was first revealed by the California Post as being part of Newsom's May budget revision, which would have authorized taxpayer funds to be spent on projects recognizing former governors' public service and policy achievements. But the funding request vanished from a tentative budget agreement shaped and approved this week by Democrat legislators. The governor's office declined comment, I wonder why, on the legacy proposal being removed. State Senator Tony Strickland, a Republican from Huntington Beach, told the Post that Newsom's proposal was laughable. A legacy fund is just totally tone deaf in terms of the affordability crisis and what's going on here in California. He probably saw that it was totally tone deaf, and probably one of his advisors said, is that smart to move forward on? You're going to actually hurt yourself. It's unclear if the scrapped idea is a rebuke of retreat for Newsom in the final months of his administration, which has continued to commit to record spending while structural budget deficits loom in the near future. Representative James Gallagher said this guy has a lot of vanity projects. He wants to memorialize himself. He wanted to do a California advertising campaign in anticipation of his presidential campaign. It's good this thing was dropped. We need to stop glorifying governors and get back to governing the state. Yeah, he wanted to use this, obviously. He wanted to use this to help prop him up in that presidential race, as he is one of the frontrunners of the Democratic ticket. All right, our number one is in the book. Thanks for all the comments, all the waves coming in. As a reminder, this week we've had a lot of great guests. Next week's a little more quiet because we've got primaries coming up on Tuesday. So a lot of it's just going to be talking about the issues of the day, reminding you to get out and vote. If you haven't already, the apps or the early voting, not huge numbers. I think Executive Moss mentioned the other day there's only about 100 people in all of Chemung County. In Steuben, I think I looked yesterday, there was about 136 early voted, but it's not too late. You can still early vote, or you can go out and vote on primary day. Because again, I don't want to keep belaboring this point, but especially for those of you in Chemung and Steuben. But Chemung, you've got Chris Moss and Mark Margison, and the winner on Tuesday is the next Chemung County executive, or remains the Chemung County executive in Moss's case. So that is that's more important than the general. I don't know how else to say it. People get confused by the primary system, but the same goes locally. If you say, oh, I really like that candidate, they knocked on my door earlier in the season, or I signed their petition, I'll get them in the general. It's too late by then. You have to get them in the primary. If they have a primary challenge in June, which is Tuesday, next Tuesday, the 23rd, you have to vote, or you're not going to see their name and the general ballot. So keep that in mind. I know I keep hitting that topic, but we need to. All right. If you missed it, last week we did have Mark Margison on the program. That's on our YouTube page and on WYDCTV.com. And this week we had Chemung County Executive Chris Moss. They are facing each other for Chemung County Executive on Tuesday. You can check those out on our website, WYDCTV.com, or on our YouTube channel. Also, I posted former Congressman, current Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski's interview from yesterday on YouTube and YDC.com as well. And our friend Emily from Casa Trinity. So it's been a busy week, and a little bit later on, we're going to hear from Steuben Senior Services Fund. But our number one in the book. Stay with us.
Don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Watch news from the Twin Tiers and catch local events on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Your Social Security disability claim has been denied, and you don't understand why. Your physical or emotional problems make it impossible for you to work. I'm Peter Gorton of Lockman & Gorton. Don't give up. Together, we'll file your appeal to give you the best chance to win the benefits you deserve.
For a free consultation, call Lockman & Gorton, toll free 1-800-698-0567.
I'm Grace.
I'm Ida.
and I lived in California.
Timmy was just a puppy when I moved in. He's a emotional support animal.
I had Missy, who is 15 years old and blind.
Likes the people, he likes to greet all the people. All the employees are happy to see him.
I feel that my pets are very welcome here. I feel very welcome here. I think it's great.
Everyone has a community, a neighborhood, school, place of worship, or other chosen groups. Communities can provide support when you need it, including helping your kids avoid underage drinking and other substance use. Learn more at talktheyhearyou.samhsa.gov.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live and proudly from the Hasselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We had a viewer call in. I thought the show was live. Evidently, it is not. Is this live this morning or not? Yes. I don't know what would make you think it's not live this morning. Today is Friday, June the 19th, 2026. Now I'm curious if you want to call back in. I'd love to know why you thought it wasn't live. I don't see anything that would make you think it's not live. We were just talking about Tuesday's primary, which is on the 23rd. The primary vote, we were talking about all the guests we've had on in anticipation of that vote on Tuesday, and see how I make an excuse for any comment to bring up the primaries. But I just got a bad feeling, and you heard it from every candidate we've talked to. You heard it from Joe Sempolinski. Everyone's nervous about the numbers. Again, percentage-wise, if you go out and vote, your vote matters so much more on Tuesday than it will in the general, because the numbers are very hyper-local. Now, in Chemung, it's all of Chemung, with the executive race, Moss and Mark Margison. But in Steuben County, with the hyper-local town of Campbell, Corning, Irwin, Lindley, and Rathbone, those are primaries as well. And I'm sure each one of those people that have worked hard, knocked on doors to get the signatures to be put on the ballot, have campaigned, got signs, done whatever, I'm sure those people would be very grateful to you if you have any questions, you can contact me, but go out and vote for them on Tuesday. But yes, we are live. I'm not sure why you thought we weren't, but we are. Comment from a different viewer. If New Scum, as President Trump calls him, wins a Democrat primary for president, it will be hilarious if California votes Republican. I say this because I can't imagine that California voters would vote for him given his record. You would think common sense would tell you they wouldn't vote for him, how bad the state is doing. But then you see how bad a mayor in Karen Bass is, and yet it's now between essentially a communist and a communist, with Rahman, the Democrat Socialist of America, facing Karen Bass because Spencer Pratt was knocked out. Now, you can question that whole thing. I'm not vouching for their election system and the counting system there. I'm just saying it should have been overwhelming for Pratt, and it wasn't overwhelming enough, apparently, if there was questionable tactics. But I don't know. I think California would still vote for Newsom. I really do. I hate to say it. All right, it was Democrats' big day out yesterday. The Clintons rubbing shoulders with the Bushes, Oprah, Colbert, so many others. The campus, which officially opens its doors to the public today, was flooded with prominent political figures and celebrities as a boatload of festivities kicked off to celebrate the big day. You had, and I don't know if you noticed it, but the nightly news made it a point to say that there were 4 previous presidents and their families, but Trump wasn't invited. Okay. The Obamas, Bidens, Bushes, and Clintons all cozied up together for a group picture ahead of the dedication ceremony. Michelle and Barack Obama's daughters, Malia and Sasha, also came out to support their parents, waving and smiling big at the crowd. We're going to talk about some of the interesting takeaways from this. I don't really think we need to go through all of this. Now, California Governor Gavin Newsom, Representative Nancy Pelosi, J.B. Pritzker, interesting. Well, Illinois, that's right. Former Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, former White House Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel, Kamala Harris, and her husband, and more political bigwigs were also in attendance. Oprah Winfrey was there. Stephen Colbert was there. Jennifer Hudson. Now, We learned that as they welcomed their elite friends, and remember, this wasn't infrastructure around the building, roads, things like that had to be changed. That was paid for by Illinois taxpayers. But otherwise, the Presidential Library is paid for by private donors. But so with all those Hollywood elites, you think of how much money was in that room? Unpaid subcontractors on the project claim millions are still owed. Let's see, where was it? Where was the group? Construction companies are now reporting that the center owes them amounts ranging from tens of thousands to multiple millions in unpaid construction fees. And in the case of many of the black-owned businesses, they face bankruptcy if they don't get paid soon, according to Fox News. Adamson Plumbing owner Mike Owen, for instance, says he is owed $4 million by the Obama Center, and it is a hole in his budget he might not be able to survive. African American Contractors Association President Omar Sharif blasted the Obama Center and know that many of the black-owned businesses Obama has stiffed are scared to death about talking about it because they fear a backlash for criticizing Obama. Quote, I've never seen this happen since I've been in business. The building does look nice, but the fact doesn't matter that they're not paying their darn, we'll say, contractors. The promise was that this project was going to uplift minority contractors and uplift the community. What sense is celebrating Juneteenth if our black contractors are not getting paid their money? Sharif also said that many of these black-owned businesses are wishing they had never become involved with the Obama Center. The situation is compounded by the fact that the Obama Foundation never funded the $470 million backup fund they agreed to bankroll in case costs ran over for the center's budget. So far, the foundation has put a mere $1 million in the fund, an amount that doesn't come anywhere near covering the cost overruns and unpaid construction fees. The $470 backup fund was supposed to be the $470 million backup fund was supposed to be the guarantee that Chicago and Illinois taxpayers would not be on the hook to pay for the overruns. But now that is looking like taxpayers might be stuck with the bills despite the agreement the Obama Foundation signed with state and local officials. So you actually have minority-owned businesses that may go out of business because they wanted to help in the building of this library. Again, while the elites party, you had performers there, and I know you don't care. But the big name performers, because that was one of the things I kept seeing on Facebook. That, oh boy, is Trump going to be mad? Like he cares. Jennifer Hudson, like I said, Common, Christina Aguilera, Mark Anthony, John Legend, Bruce Springsteen, Thames, Stevie Wonder, and others. Pearl Jam lead singer Eddie Vedder. All right. There you go. Now, also, the event was ridiculed for what they're calling, it was Valerie Jarrett. Remember Valerie Jarrett, the former senior advisor to Obama? She is the current CEO of the Obama Foundation. She kicked things off as master of ceremonies with a left-wing land acknowledgement ritual, saying we also like to take a moment to recognize the original inhabitants of the land upon which we are gathered today. Oh my goodness, I bit off more than I could chew. We honor the Anishinaabe, the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi nations. Land acknowledgement have been mocked as performative left-wing routines completed to commemorate the Native Americans who once lived on the land where an event is happening. Yeah, so it's kind of, they're trying to, quote-unquote, erase away their sins. They're saying, we acknowledge this was somebody else's land. We're still using it. We're still going to build our library there, and we're still going to have, we're still going to be very happy to use all this land. But, hey, we're going to give you a shout-out at the beginning of the event that you most likely, many of from the tribes were not invited to. There are the extensions of that belief that the United States exists on, quote, stolen land. But as many keen online observers noted, Democrats hosting the Obama Presidential Center's grand opening have no intention of returning the land to the people they believe are the rightful owners. Steve Deitch said, wouldn't they prefer you just to give them their land back? And yeah, instead of just saying something at the top of the dedication. Beth Ann Mumford of Americans for Prosperity said, land acknowledgements are funny because the real message is, I want to say I care, but I don't really care, or I wouldn't have built this on land which I just said is yours. That's a great way of putting it. Pretty succinct. So you just went ahead and built on that land anyway, huh? Said Stephen Miller. Pretty disrespectful for the Obama Presidential Center to not acknowledge the current tribe leader of the south side of Chicago. Some rapper, I don't know who that is, according to Town Hall senior strategist. An anonymous user balked at the logic, or apparently thereof, of building a communist monument on stolen land that the new owners refused to give back. The mental hurdles are Olympic levels. Again, look at the hypocrisy. So this cost nearly $1 billion to build and has been embroiled in controversy really since day one. It was initially estimated to be about half that cost, and then we learned, as I mentioned, the various people that have yet to be paid. One subcontractor, as I said that they're owed $4 million in work never completed, or the work that was completed but never paid for. The project was announced back in 2015, and the site, Jackson Park on Chicago's South Side, chosen in 2016, but the groundbreaking was delayed until 2021 due to bureaucratic red tape. The project required numerous local and federal approvals to build on the location, which is a historic preservation site. Okay. Multiple environmental reviews and was subject to several lawsuits. After construction began, the price tag on the project continued skyrocketing. The center was scheduled to open in March of 2025, but was delayed for another year. We're going to talk just a minute more about this. I know we don't want to talk too much about it, but bear with me. I do see a comment here. We'll read the comments when we return. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
They say when you love doing something, it stops being a chore. Ferris mowers with patented front and rear suspension are designed to turn hard work into an easy ride, no matter how rough the terrain. Quality cut, less fatigue, more control. Feels like the grass can't grow fast enough. Feels like a Ferris.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
There, quiet and comfortable out there. A high of 77 with some sunshine. The average high of 80. We won't be far from it, but you'll notice when we get to the extended forecast that we will have a hard time warming that much consistently in the days ahead. Tonight, mid-50s with some clear skies, then back to around 75 with some sun for Saturday. As mentioned, not much for 80-degree heat on the horizon. Shower and thunderstorm potential Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Coming up in just a few moments, we are going to hear from Steuben Senior Services Fund. All right, let's go with some viewer comments. Ken writes in, if you decide to take another well-deserved day off or have to go on assignment to do some covert research on fraud in the California elections, you could rebroadcast yesterday's interview with Joe. My cable went out after the start of the interview. I suspect Hochul's handlers wanted to suppress his interview. And yet another attempt to not let the public know what the Democrats are up to. Well, thank you, Ken. That's a great idea. I know, obviously, July 4th we'll have a day off on Friday. I think I might have something coming up, too. But that's a very good suggestion. That was a good interview. There's a couple timely things with local primaries and things. But if you want, Ken, let me know. Just text me a thumbs up or something. I can get you the YouTube link. I put it up on our YouTube page yesterday. Because I know Joe Sempolinski is a fan favorite. Continuing, a different viewer writes, was the Obama Library celebration, was that what it was? I thought it was a reenactment of the Star Wars barroom scene. Well, I know a lot of people I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy, so don't get mad at me if I'm saying it wrong. But I know some people said it looked like some type of ship or something like that from Star Wars, the building itself, because the building is a pretty ugly looking building. Comment from a different viewer. Speaking of being ashamed, I was ashamed to learn the Bushes attended Obama's opening. Yeah, they get along really well. So George W. and Michelle are really close friends, they claim. We know that the Bushes are not happy for various reasons with Trump. They don't like Trump. But they do have that love for the Obamas. Now, did you see Biden at the event? It got awkward. Joe Biden awkwardly left lingering on stage by himself at the grand opening of the Barack Obama Presidential Center in Chicago, tepidly waving at the crowd after the ceremony ended. A gleeful Obama had waltzed off the stage to the music, followed by a smiling former First Lady Jill Biden. Jill Biden left him out there while the 46th president stood there seemingly dazed all by himself. For reasons that aren't clear, the 83-year-old went over to the podium and took off his sunglasses before staring into the crowd with a puzzled look on his face. "Where's my granddaughter?" he shouted. The former president then seemingly started to make his way off stage before footage of the event was cut off. Biden's rare public outing was reminiscent of the parts of his presidency when he was seen wandering after events with a confused look on his face. The 46th president was joined by former presidents Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and their spouses in celebrating the grand opening of the Barack Obama Presidential Center on Thursday. Kamala Harris was also in attendance. At one point, Obama went over to Biden and gave him a pat on the back as the two shared a laugh. The Biden presidency is a sore spot for many Democrats due to how it ended. Critics argue that the 80-year-old should have stepped aside earlier to give the party a better shot at beating Trump. Hillary just saying, and I mentioned it with Joe Semplinsky on the program yesterday, Hillary said he made a terrible mistake. He made a terrible mistake for himself, his legacy, and for the country. We would have had a real contest, and very sadly, I believe whoever emerged from the contest, whether it was the vice president or a governor or senator or anybody else, would have beaten Donald Trump. Jill Biden recently admitted that if she had a redo, she would have pushed her husband against seeking a second term. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. Now, Michelle Obama received some criticism yesterday because she was talking about the opening on Good Morning America. While the 44th president described his aspirations, so they asked Barack Obama, "What's your aspiration for the future?" He said, "Fun." Okay. My aspiration for the future, Barack Obama said, is to have fun. His wife had a more inward-looking plan. She said, "Me." So her priorities and aspirations for the future, me, describing her next chapter. Now, Steve Guest said the dad is such a selfish and entitled person. Anthony Dorman said, "The first time I've ever felt bad for Barack. It's remarkable that she has the same ego as her husband," wrote another Twitter user. So again, one word to describe your next chapter. One word. Barack said fun. Michelle said me. All right. And we know that she's been telling those stories about just trying to not be stressed as much and just focusing on herself and no one else. I don't know. Tom Hanks, I don't know if you saw it. Tom Hanks viciously roasted MS Now. Now, MS Now is what MSNBC used to be. So Jacob Sabaroff from MS Now yelled and asked if Tom Hanks would do an interview. And Hanks replied, "What can I do for the 800 people watching MS Now?" And then he said, "All right, add a zero if you need to." So 8,000. Sabaroff took the joke in stride, saying, "I would say millions now that you're on the air." After they talked for a moment, Hanks said, "I got to tell you, I can hear the clicks happening before my very eyes," when the interview was over, saying that everybody was tuning out now that Hanks was off the air. And the host, amused but not overly happy. Jokingly saying he has been very supportive of the press, at least in the past. So, you know what? MSN Now, they averaged 691,000 total day viewers and 1.1 million primetime viewers in the first quarter of 2026. To put that into perspective, Fox News Channel 1.7 million average total day viewers and 2.6 million primetime viewers during the same day period. Okay. Let's see. I got one other thing about this. Do we have time? Yeah, because we got our friends from Stu Ben Senior Services Fund. But Kristen Flemings from the Post says, when Donald Trump slapped his name on the Kennedy Center, he was, rightfully, torn a new one. His monster-sized ego is something to behold and, yes, to be criticized at times. But this week, another egomaniac unveiled his own monument. Let's call it the curious case of the disappearing gripe. Funny, though, how the media and the commentary class that's so eager to declare an existential crisis over every move Trump makes suddenly finds themselves out of righteous anger. I would say not only not out of anger, they were glowing. They were so happy to see Obama and all Clintons, etc. It's simply true that when Barack Obama enters the fray, these same whiners hit the off switch for the outrage and the grievances they so eagerly and reflexively dish out for Donald J. Trump. Instead, they offered tongue baths, back rubs, and praise. Non-stop praise, even as Obama introduced his bizarre monument to himself. On Thursday morning, the Obama Presidential Center was unveiled on the Chicago South Side with an A-list group of sycophants. The $850 million Obama-lisk, as it's been dubbed, stands in Chicago's historic Jackson Park and be best described as ugly. And it's an obscene Death Star-like eyesore in the Windy City that takes up land that was previously set aside for regular Chicago residents. Obama, of all people, should not be building a palace for himself, a fortress in the middle of a public park. It's just contrary to what I thought he believed in, renowned Chicago architect Graham Balkney said, who is, he claims, to be a self-described progressive liberal. The Obama Foundation on Instagram wasted no time in patting himself on the back. We are bringing together some of today's most prominent voices and global icons for the Obama Presidential Center grand opening ceremony. The global icons include Bruce Springsteen, Eddie Vedder, John Legend, I mentioned all those, Archives and Records Administration, to help scholars research the Obama presidency. It is run privately by the nonprofit Obama Foundation instead of NARA. It would be good for the country, especially in these times, if a new museum, National Museum, with a nonpartisan mission to inform and educate about the Obama era were opening this week. Tim Nathelli, former director of the Richard Nixon Presidential Library and Museum, told CNN. But no mainstream media folks or preachy celebrities are calling this out. If Trump took a chunk of Central Park and built something like this, there would be riots. When Trump said he was going to demolish the East Wing to create a ballroom for future administrations to enjoy, the left mourned it like it would a family member, even if they couldn't locate it on a map or by sight. Top Chef judge Tom Colicchio posted a photo and a memoriam on X, writing, "My wife and I in the East Wing. I can't believe it is gone." But the photo wasn't in the East Wing. He just happened to be living in a perpetual state of TDS. Instead, this is why our country is divided. All the selective outrage is wearing thin. I thought it was a good point. Oh, I'm buffering? Oh my goodness, hold on. We'll take a short break. Stay with us. What the heck happened there? I'm sorry about that. We should be back up. Is it better? You see me just staring at the computer, confused and wondering if it's working. Give me a thumbs up if it is. Mark writes in, Biden acted weird at the grand opening of the library. Well, how can that be? He is mentally fit and sharp as a tack, according to Democrats. What a cover-up that was. Then we got a wave. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I'm sorry about the technical glitch there, folks. I've never had that happen. So about the Obama Library, as having an architect in my family history, I think if the future architect looks like this in our country, the future architects in this country look like this, I hope I'll be in heaven or somewhere else. First word comes to mind is ugly. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm telling you, it does look bad. I'm not just saying that. Frankly, it appears the Obama Democrat machine just sabotage your feed. I don't know what happened. I do appreciate that. I think we're back up though, right? Everything seems okay. Is there no audio? Video not showing, but no audio, really? All right. Okay, give me a second. All right, what break are we on?
Get more of what you love for less by stacking your savings at Raymore and Flanigan. The deals just keep building. Take 10, 15, or 20% off your purchase. Building your savings across living room, dining room, and bedroom furniture. It's all on sale. And get in-stock items delivered in 3 days or less. Want to buy now and pay over time? Explore our flexible monthly financing plans. Savings up to 20% on your purchase and soon at Raymore and Flanigan.
7 great brands at one convenient location. Only here at Blaze Alexander Finley Dealerships in Mansfield. You pay what we pay. Enjoy 40 pricing for all eligible branded 2025 and 2026 Ford models. Get behind the wheel of the new Ram 1500 and save up to $10,000 off MSRP. Take advantage of 0% for 60 months on all brand new Chevy Silverado 1500 and receive $500 in gas cards with any purchase now until the end of June. Stop and shop to save some green off Route 15 in Mansfield, where we're taking the deals the other guys won't.
Dear Coach. Dear Coach, they don't teach you that inner strength is the most important kind of strong. But you taught me that.
They don't teach you how to build confidence in yourself or how to deal with all the pressures all at once. But you taught me that.
First tee was more than golf. It's where I discovered what I'm capable of.
You didn't just prepare me for 18 holes. You were preparing me for every day of my life. Learn more at firsttee.org.
There, quiet and comfortable out there. A high of 77 with some sunshine. The average high of 80. We won't be far from it, but you'll notice when we get to the extended forecast that we will have a hard time warming that much consistently in the days ahead. Tonight, mid-50s with some clear skies, then back to around 75 with some sun for Saturday. As mentioned, not much for 80-degree heat on the horizon. Shower and thunderstorm potential Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today, for all your business and home security needs. We are back looking through all these comments. We should be back up and running. Sound should be good. Let's go to some viewer comments that were muted in the last break. Mark says, Biden acted weird at the grand opening of the library. Well, how can that be? He is mentally fit and sharp as a tack, according to Democrats. What a cover-up that was. Yeah, that was really awkward. And, Dr. Jill loves that everything, the focus being on her, especially with that book that was for sale. Should have kept a kind of closer eye. I mean, he's standing up there by himself saying, where's my granddaughter? Very, very uncomfortable. Okay, another comment. So about the Obama Library. As having an architect in my family history, I think if future architecture looks like this in our country, I hope I'll be in heaven or the other place. First word that comes to mind is ugh and ugly. I would agree. Okay, going through some other comments. What was the other one? Here we go. Frankly, it appears the Obama Democrat machine just sabotaged your feed. I think we're good now. Are we still no sound? Oh, no. Okay, we are. I'm sorry. Ken writes in, I don't want to join the crowd recanting how ugly the Obama Presidential Library is. But when I looked up the word ugly in the online dictionary, I now see a picture of Obama's library. Good one, Ken. I agree. It is pretty bad. Okay. All good. We're all good. Thank you. Yes, it was. Listen, I put politics aside. First of all, to Kristen Fleming's point, imagine if Trump had made his library in Central Park #1. Now imagine if his looked that hideous. Again, I don't care about the politics of this. I'm just saying from pure visual interpretation of this, your own artistic vision of it, it's just a really weird look. And I know a lot of people were upset about the land that it took in that park that was supposed to be for regular Chicago residents. It's been a lot of controversy. Now we learn that so many people could go bankrupt in minority-owned businesses because they haven't been paid by the Obama Foundation. Seems like quite a mess. Seems to be run money-wise very similar to the Obama administration itself. Okay. We have to take a short break. When we return, Elaine Godfrey, I have a second, says the Democrat base is angry. Okay? That's why they're kind of going this direction of Democrat Socialists of America. None acknowledge the Democrats' broader problems or any of the related concerns the ladies of GRR, I don't know what that is, had brought up in the meeting. When I texted Shaw to ask what she made, why am I reading that? But they're saying that that's what's leading to the Democrats, Socialists of America taking over. Zohran Mamdani sharply criticizing Democrat Party as he rallies with progressive challengers, saying for far too long, this is Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York, our party I've seen its job as managing decline instead of delivering change for working people. It has seen its job as explaining why we cannot instead of showing how we can. And the old way of thinking will lose on Tuesday. And frankly, it will lose in South Carolina and New Hampshire. It will fall short of 270 electoral votes because the party of the past will not be what leads us into the future. What does the race for 2028 begin? It starts now. It starts on Tuesday. All right. We do have some, okay, stick with us. We have the Steuben Senior Services Fund interview coming up next. It's a quick little interview just to hear about Bubblies and Brunch. Then I've got some, I guess all you could say is shocking, well, when aren't they? New York State updates. That's probably how we'll wrap up our show, so you don't want to miss our New York State updates. As a reminder, if you did miss it, Joe Sempolinski was on the program yesterday. It was a great one. You can tune in, or you can, I'll play it on a rebroadcast, but you should check our YouTube page or WYDCTV.com. Again, when we return, our good friends, our pals, the Steuben Senior Services Fund. I'm glad we got our technical difficulties out of the way. And we'll be back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Get more of what you love for less by stacking your savings at Raymore and Flanigan. The deals just keep building. Take 10, 15, or 20% off your purchase. Building your savings across living room, dining room, and bedroom furniture. It's all on sale. And get in-stock items delivered in 3 days or less. Want to buy now and pay over time? Explore our flexible monthly financing plans. Savings up to 20% on your purchase and soon at Raymore and Flanigan.
7 great ends at one convenient location, only here at Blaze Alexander Finley Dealerships in Mansfield. You pay what we pay. Enjoy employee pricing for all eligible brand new 2025 and 2026 Ford models. Get behind the wheel of the new Ram 1500 and save up to $10,000 off MSRP. Take advantage of 0% for 60 months on all brand new Chevy Silverado 1500 and receive $500 in gas cards with any purchase now until the end of June. Stop and shop to save some green off Route 15 in Mansfield, where we're taking the deals the other guys won't.
Oh, dear coach.
Dear coach, they don't teach you that inner strength is the most important kind of strong. But you taught me that.
They don't teach you how to build confidence in yourself or how to deal with all the pressures all at once. But you taught me that. First tee was more than golf. It's where I discovered what I'm capable of. You didn't just prepare me for 18 holes. You were preparing me for every day of my life. Learn more at firsttee.org.
There, quiet and comfortable out there. A high of 77 with some sunshine. The average high of 80. We won't be far from it, but you'll notice when we get to the extended forecast that we will have a hard time warming that much consistently in the days ahead. Tonight, mid-50s with some clear skies, then back to around 75 with some sun for Saturday. As mentioned, not much for 80-degree heat on the horizon. Shower and thunderstorm potential Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, it's already that time of year. We're talking bubbly and brunch. Welcome back.
Yay! Nice to see you, Frank.
It's good to see you,
Thanks
both
for
of you.
having us.
Yeah, so let's talk about bubbly and brunch. It's coming up Sunday, July 26th, 11 a.m. till 2 p.m., and we've got a new venue.
We do.
We're very excited about it. Corning Museum of Glass is hosting the event this year, and we want to give a big shout out to Pleasant Valley Winery Visitor Center, who hosted us for the last 5 successful
Oh,
years.
yeah.
And so the family donated that space to us for all those years.
Great.
And it's been wonderful. And so now we're excited to move to Corning area and reach a whole new audience of people who can attend this.
And it's such a beautiful location, especially for an event like this.
It sure is, and they do a wonderful job. I've attended a couple of other events prior to.
Right.
Fantastic job. So we're really looking forward to it.
Now, how is the planning going now that you have a new location? Is it pretty smooth, or?
Oh, absolutely.
A little too smooth.
Oh, no. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Well, tickets are being sold. We're receiving sponsorships from various organizations and individuals. We are getting a lot of auction items in. Very excited about that. I think we have almost $6,000 worth of auction items
Oh, my goodness.
in-house already. So we're anticipating many more than that. They're not all on the list I gave you, by the way.
Sure.
Because I haven't had the time to register them all. They're just coming in so fast and furiously. And I want to thank our board of directors, because they're the ones out there getting all of these gifts for us.
Well,
So-
and I know last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, last year you can actually bid online, right?
Yes.
A little bit closer to the event.
Right. About a week before the event, we're going to open up our online auction. It's at 32auctions.com.
Okay.
And they look for Steuben Senior Services Fund and register themselves and then start bidding.
Yeah.
And last
there's
year
so
we
much
had
to bid on.
Yeah, bids from all over the United States. So that was pretty exciting.
Well, here's some of the, I would say highlights, but they're all highlights, but just which catch my eye. Autographed cleats from Maxwell Hairston from the Buffalo Bills. You had an autograph last year, I think,
Yes,
too.
we did. Exciting.
Yeah, and 2-night Moon Shadow bread and breakfast day. You've got, oh my goodness. You said the peanut butter pies are like, that's the go-to. That's what everybody wants.
For.
Yeah.
Everybody wants
Those are a
those.
huge
And the maker of those says they're worth $20 a piece, and we usually get $50 or $60 from them. They are so good.
And you also have round of golf for Ford, Elmira Country Club. I mean, a lot of golf, a lot of just
Willow
really
Creek, another golf, and we know there's going to be, I think, another couple as well. So.
And a lottery board, so you could walk away a millionaire.
Oh, true. That's
In
very
theory.
true. We
In
have
theory.
mystery boxes. We have all sorts of beautiful original oil paintings from local artists and also from a man who's known all over New York State. His name is Jim Dungate. And he has given us this year, I think there's going to be 8 of his original
my goodness.
oils, and they're all in memory of Rebecca Striano, the daughter of one of our board members.
wow.
So those are beautiful. This year he's giving a lot of ocean scenes and seagulls and really pretty water themes. So those are always very popular.
For someone that hasn't attended, again, we're talking about Bubbly and Brunch, which is coming up Sunday, July 26th, 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. at CMOG, Corning Museum of Glass. What's the event look like? What's the day look like?
Well, let's see. People come in
A lot of energy,
It's an exciting day. We let people look around the auction for a while, for about a half an hour.
Sure.
Then we welcome everyone. Brunch is served by the museum staff. I think it's a company called Indigo that does the food there at the museum. And then people can start bidding on all of the items. At about 1 o'clock, we start stopping the bidding on certain sections.
Okay.
And then people can come up and whoever is the highest bidder on a particular item wins that particular item,
Right.
pays for and wins that particular item. And people really love it because they like competing. And there's always a favorite item, that everyone's bidding on. One of the favorites is always the Adirondack chair, handmade by the Mennonite people up in the Penn area at Pine Ridge. And that is a big seller. So we will get bid after bid, and people want to be the last one to get up there before we say, oh, done, and actually win that item. So we have people coming already looking for items.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot of music.
Yeah.
DJ is walking the
Games.
wilds. Games. Wine pull is always a great hit.
We have 50 bottles of donated wine that you can bid on. And
My goodness.
And raffles, and I think we're getting another gold ring that somebody's donating for a raffle. So a lot of stuff, as I said, and we've got some new artists as well. Some of the old standbys who we really appreciate, doing a lot of Cuca Lake types of scenes. And then we have a new Eli Whitney is going to be giving. He hasn't come in yet, but we're promised something from him. And also Anthony Caruso from the Webster area is donating this year.
Oh, wow.
So I guess he's pretty big up in that area.
So this is going to be an all-day thing just with the auction.
Well, we're done by 2. I mean, we're fast.
Bring your checkbook, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I know in the past, you can't buy tickets at the door, right? You have to pre-register.
No, we have to pre-register.
So
we
when
have to
is
know
it?
how many, a week before we want to cut off
Okay, and
on that.
you've been kind enough, just like last year, we're going to be giving away tickets here pretty soon. You gave us a couple of tickets. I know it was a huge hit last year, and the viewer that won it was over the moon with how much fun they had at the event.
They had a great time.
Yeah.
They really did, yeah.
And something like this we know isn't possible. It is very popular. Isn't possible without sponsors. So I thought maybe we could thank our sponsors. And I'm assuming this goes without saying, but you're always looking for more sponsors.
Oh, yes, and we have others that just haven't come in yet, but we're anticipating them.
Sure.
So, yes.
Do you want to take a look at the ones that are already signed on?
Oh, absolutely. Apple Ridge Senior Living is one of our bigger sponsors.
We have them on the program a lot. They're great people.
They are. And Chemung Canal Trust Company is a big sponsor of great sponsor of local events. They really are. And the folks from Chemung Canal, there's usually several of them that attend, and they have a really great time. Siemens Energy is a big sponsor this year, along with a couple actually, who have given. And then we have lots of others, the Bath Lodge of Elks, Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield, Fry and Campbell, the Law Office of Jennifer Galvin, Care First New York, they're a new sponsor with us this year, the Public Employees Federation, Rossetti and Martino, the Ryan Agencies, and United Steelworkers Local 1034.
And like you said, more are going to be coming in too. So people should get signed up and be a part of it. Is there a way that they can help? Is sponsorship available at any level?
We have several levels, yes. The lowest level is $300. Although people sometimes say, I want to be a sponsor, here's $100. We're not going to turn it down.
Right, you're not going to say no, right?
People are just so generous.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
We can't do what we're doing without the support from our community.
Huge community support.
So invaluable.
Yeah, the auction items, last year we had over $12,000 of auction items.
My goodness.
And like I said, we're about 6,000 right now. It's going to... I know it's going to keep going up.
So people can donate gift baskets, I'm sure, for the auction.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
So really,
there's something for everyone, for sure.
Yeah.
And and people want to be a part of this. And you mentioned some of the sponsors, and they're such valuable members of the community that help organizations like this. So we should ask the question. I probably should have asked it first. Where do the funds go that you raise?
To really support our flagship program, which is Full Circle America, and that is just a monitoring program that assists our seniors to age and place in their home, and other support. So when we initially install a camera, or maybe up to 3, to monitor our loved one in the home, in conjunction with Dr. Teal, Full Circle America Maine, we also then connect them with other supports in the community, and to support our caregivers as well.
Sure.
That's important.
And Chris is their care coordinator.
Okay.
So that's a bonus too, because if there's an issue, all the family or the member has to do is connect with her. If Maine, when they're doing their check-ins of the cameras, if they see an issue, they will contact Chris. Chris goes right out and takes care of the issue. Sometimes it's just a camera that's not working properly. Sometimes it's a much bigger issue. And so, yeah, it's a great circle of care around someone.
Well, it's a perfect name, Full Circle America.
Yeah.
Where can people find out more if they're interested in the service?
You can contact me at Spence County Office for the Aging. That is our partner. I am located in that office. They can call me at 607-664-2299. That is my direct line.
Great.
Chris Watkins.
And we're talking about Bubbly and Brunch, and now we're talking about Full Circle America. But before we go with Bubbly and Brunch, how can people get involved, whether it's sponsorship or if they want to attend?
Call me, same number, 607-664-2298. They'll put the call through to me.
Great.
Tickets are available. We also sell tickets on Eventbrite.
Oh, yeah.
The only problem with that, and I don't mean to put it down at all because it helps us reach a lot of people that
Sure.
otherwise couldn't purchase tickets, is they do have a little carrying charge. I think it's $6 as their carrying charge. But, you know, if you have no other way to get a ticket and you want to come.
Right. Or you can stay tuned and watch Frankly Speaking and win one.
And
There you go. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, Bubbly and Brunch is coming up on Sunday, July 26th. It'll be here in no time, 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. at the Corning Museum of Glass. Well, thanks so much, as always, for being on the program. This was a lot of fun, and best of luck coming up on July 26th.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Of course. All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News for news, local events, and more. Happens when a community comes together for a great cause, something incredible. Our spring fashion show sold out in just 15 days, with more than 130 tickets sold. Partnering with Lucky You Women's Clothing Outlet, the runway was filled with smiles, confidence, and fun for everyone. Thanks to our amazing sponsors, volunteers, supporters, and guests, we raised over $4,000 for Bompa's House and are honored to support the care and comfort they provide our community.
I was diagnosed at 65.
37. Earlier than most.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association.
Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
There, quiet and comfortable out there. A high of 77 with some sunshine. The average high of 80. We won't be far from it, but you'll notice when we get to the extended forecast that we will have a hard time warming that much consistently in the days ahead. Tonight, mid-50s with some clear skies, then back to around 75 with some sun for Saturday. As mentioned, not much for 80-degree heat on the horizon. Shower and thunderstorm potential Monday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We got we got a lot of comments from viewers. We'll try to get some of my missed before break. We'll bring them up in the last break of the show, if that's okay. So let's start with these. Minority businesses is supposed to be one of the Democrats' flagship causes, and not paying the bills seemed that they could care less about them. Yeah, I mean, the Barack Obama museum or library, it's not really a library. We keep calling it that, but it really is more of a museum. Is being reported by Fox, a lot of people, minority-owned businesses, with plumbing, the one gentleman out $4 million. That's not going to be a good PR campaign, so they better look into that quick. Comment from a different viewer, just a comment. Oh, perfect. Can you imagine the noise the fake news would make if Trump didn't pay his contractors? Look at what they did when they criticized him for using his pool person, essentially, for the reflection pool. Okay, here's a comment from a viewer. The United States plays Australia today at 3 p.m. It will be broadcast on Fox. It sure will be. And I am now, thanks to President Trump, extremely proud to be an American. Go USA. Well, thank you very much. If you are interested, come on down to Corning. Centerway Square. They're going to be broadcasting here at Big Fox. We're going to be broadcasting the game. Starts at 2:45-ish. Come down, get a good seat right in Centerway. It's going to be a beautiful day. And then on July 19th for the final, starting at 1 p.m., we're going to be broadcasting again from Centerway. So what a great opportunity to sit with your friends outside on a beautiful day instead of watching it at home. And today, the United States taking on Australia. So come on down, say hi in Centerway Square here on Market Street. We got other comments coming in, which we'll get to here in just a little bit. Okay. New York State-wise, I want to kind of pass along this public service announcement to our friends out there that are hunters. I know we have a big hunting demographic. Well, it's official. The new proposed deer hunting regulations that were announced in March will take effect for this upcoming 2026-2027 hunting season. It is designed, supposedly, to encourage hunters to kill more doe or antlerless deer to better manage the state's growing deer population. One of the most controversial regulations is the establishment of an earn a second buck system that requires hunters to kill an antlerless deer before getting a tag to kill a second buck. Many hunters question the lack of enforcement mechanisms that would prevent unscrupulous hunters from gaming the system. For example, a hunter could simply file a bogus antlerless harvest report to get their second buck tag. To prevent fake harvest reports, DEC said it will require conduct law enforcement field checks and require hunters to provide proof of their antlerless deer harvest within 7 days if requested by the DEC. Wow, that's interesting. Proof may include a photograph, the deer's head, or contact information for where the deer was processed. Wow, so it sounds like to make the system, quote unquote, easier to take out deer population, they are adding a lot of red tape and bureaucracy. Great. All hunters will receive a first antlered deer tag, which can be used during any season, except the September antlerless season. I'm getting tongue-tied. Hunters who harvest an antlerless deer using a DMP, bow muzzleloader, antlerless deer tag, or deer management assistance program tag will be eligible to receive a second antlered deer tag, which can also be used. We're not going to go through all this, but I would highly recommend that you double check, triple check. I know they don't give you the booklets, it doesn't seem like anymore, like they used to when you bought your license, but you're going to want to make sure you know all the laws as we near. I mean, I know it's June, but I know many of you are already thinking about deer season, so make sure that you're prepared this year. Okay, speaking of New York, we got to talk about this, and then we're going to talk about the regents, which we mentioned yesterday. I'm counting that as a wave, even though I pointed. All state criminal and family court sentencing judges. Again, all state criminal and family court sentencing judges will soon have to visit a jail or prison at least once a year to see where they're sending people. Which, again, we always talk about convict-friendly or tying the hands of law enforcement and promoting the criminals. The touchy-feely new rule unveiled by state court officials this week was hailed by some judicial advocates as compassionate, but critics slammed it as further proof that New York cares more about criminals than their victims. As Raymond Arcavado said, and I think this is a really good point, what about the victims? Should the judges be required to see the harm done to victims and families? What about the way the victims were treated? I'm grateful I'm still alive. Now, Arcavado was nearly bashed to death with a hammer by a thug at a supermarket in Chelsea, Manhattan in July of 2020. It's someone else's job to look after the prisoners. That's not the judge's job. The stunning requirement, which takes effect January 1st of 2028, would affect hundreds of judges. Chief Judge Rowan Wilson said this rule keeps judges better connected to what transpires after sentencing. It deepens a judge's firsthand understanding of prison conditions and the broad impact of incarceration on individuals, families, and communities, as well as the opportunities available during incarceration. Isn't that a great point that victim made, though? Why not have them understand what the victims and their families went through? The revised rule embodies the principles that judges are not distant arbiters, but engaged stewards of justice whose thoughtful determinations are grounded in reality. Wow. All right, so judges are going to have to visit a prison once a year. We got to take a short break. Stay with us, and then we're going to wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking, probably with your comments and one more New York State issue, so stay with us.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When it's a home improvement, Horseheads Do It Center has you covered. Family owned, locally trusted, and packed with everything you need for any project. From top quality tools to kitchen and bath essentials, we make it easy. Competitive prices, expert advice, friendly service. Visit us at 124 North Main Street or online at doitbest.com/horseheads today.
Make this summer event. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. Or save $9,000 on Ram 2500 Tradesman. And this comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save over $7,400 on 3 remaining 25 Jeep Grand Cherokees. And just announced, go topless and save $7,400 on a 26 Jeep Wrangler. As always, get the highest trade-in values. Period. Chilson Wilcox. Selling cars a different way. The
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments, shall we? We've got so many viewer comments coming in. This may be how we wrap up the show. We got waves coming in. All right. Mark writes in, I don't agree with shooting a lot of does. If you shoot a buck, it's only a buck. And when you shoot a doe, you are killing 3 deer if they are pregnant. Thank you, Mark. Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Good morning, Rick. Awesome afternoon. Watched a lot of Michelle and Barack. Dedication of the Obama Presidential Center. And the Bushes, Clintons, and Bidens were there. Wait a minute, where were the Trumps? It was extremely refreshing to listen to a president speak with pride in the nation, hope for the future, acting professionally and like a gentleman, making sure it was clear today is about us instead of one person. Barack has class, a ton of class. Class is something you can't buy. Is the museum about us all and not just one person? All right. Yeah, it's not a library. It's a museum. The alternative is to listen to someone that talks like a gangster, bashing, swearing, humiliating, lying, cheating, bullying, self-centered. As a result of Trump's behavior, I just can't help but giving it right back. I'm a stinker that way. Let's not forget the Knicks. Congratulations. Boy, I'll tell you, they play a different brand of basketball than when I played. Brutal on the court, brutal. But Nick Pete, a lot of Republicans not happy with Trump and his concessions to Iran. Of course, you always have people like Jim Jordan, Lindsey Graham, and Tim Scott saying Trump is right on point and can do no wrong. Trump embraces comparison to Mao, Stalin, and Hitler. Remember what they put? Yeah, I find that, again, I'm going to always take those tell-all books by, what was it, Maggie Haberman, with a very big grain of salt. But if you want to treat it like the gospel, that's fine. There are many elected Republicans that are shaking in their boots in fear of Trump. Again, you know my position on that. That's not the case. Heaven forbid there's actually people that believe in the MAGA agenda. But because there's this hatred of Trump that you just assume that everybody has that same hatred, that they're just scared. I just don't believe that. But so if we should be voting for strong leadership in Washington, why are so many Republicans pathetically weak? Again, I would argue that's a weak argument, that you don't believe that the people overwhelmingly support the MAGA agenda in the election 2 years ago. So you don't think there's lawmakers that do as well? Ken writes in, I have to say that the 5-foot-tall letters on the Obama library are bizarre, and let me try that again. And my thoughts on the idea apparently is an excerpt from one of Obama's speeches. The problems I see are the words fill 2 sides of the upper portion of the building. I have seen pictures from the ground, and it is impossible to read it due to the steep angle and the fact that each sentence wraps around the corner. So if you could read it from the ground, you would have to walk back and forth from side to side. Next, the letters are proud of the building's face and offer a huge amount of landing and nesting locations for pigeons and other birds. It will be a nightmare to keep it clean. And since there are windows on the back sides of the letters, the nesting and mess will be visible from the inside. Good point, Ken. Comment from a different viewer. Frank, have a relaxing weekend. Well, thank you. I do appreciate that. And a nice sunglass emoji. And finally, the judges are now required to visit jails. It's just another example of why the Democrats need to be voted out, and good riddance. Thank you very much. And again, one final wave. That does it for today's edition. There is a great piece that it's the final nail in New York's worthless diploma coffin. And this is because we've talked about the junking of the Regents exams. So it's essentially all over but the shouting. But that does it. Thank you for all the views, all the comments. We had a blast this morning. Thank you to Steuben Senior Services Fund. We'll see you Monday morning right here on Frankly Speaking. Have a great, fun, and safe weekend.
Speed like you've never seen. 6 hours that feels more like a sprint. It's Salin's 6 Hours of the Glen, June 25th through the 28th, where the sport's top drivers go head-to-head on one of the most scenic road courses in racing. Get your tickets at theglen.com today.
Make this summer event. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. Or save $9,000 on a Ram 2500 Tradesman. And this comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save over $7,400 on 3 remaining 25 Jeep Grand Cherokees. And just announced, go topless and save $7,400 on a 26 Jeep Wrangler. As always, get the highest trade-in values. Period. Chilson Wilcox. Selling cars a different way. The right way.
Don't let you buy. It's Sailin' 6 Hours of the Glen, June 25th through the 28th. A full weekend full of can't-miss moments. From the grid to the garage, make every moment count. Get your tickets and secure your camping spot at theglen.com.